Look at all of the information I've just tried to ingrain into my head over the years.
Over the years?
Well, no, this is just like I started this in 2016, so
Is that the same notebook you yelled at me about last time?
yeah, it is.
All right. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, and other identifiable creatures. What is in here?
Is it
Oh, it's out on the outside, not on the outside.
okay? Beer, beer, beer.
Beer. Okay, so today, kind of blurry. I don't know if it's the camera or if it's.
Probably the shitty monitor.
Yeah, it's whatever. Might just be the actually too much light coming in. But this is our strawberry rhubarb milkshake IPA by Bicycle Craft Brewery. Again, we are not sponsored by anybody. So this is just something I want to drink. Regardless of what Siggy thinks, I actually want to drink this.
I am not a fan of it. It's
She is not a
too
fan of it.
milky.
It's literally a milkshake beer. And I'm going to drink it. So that's what I'm drinking. It's literally strawberry and rhubarb. Lactose brewed beer.
Okay, what am I drinking? This is Collective Arts. We found this at the LCBO. It is 5.7% alcohol, a citrus pale ale called Rhyme and Reason. And apparently, you can listen to the song that's paired with it if you care. But
Nope,
I don't.
there's no song on that one.
Oh, I guess it was a different one. Well, Rhyme and Reason by Collective Arts, which is a Hamilton brewery. Did you know that?
I did. They remember Collective Arts is a combination. They do collaborations between breweries. I'm not sure. At least I think they do. I'm not sure who they're collaborating with for that one, but it's definitely with somebody. And Siggy's leaving me behind. But if you guys notice how thick that looks, how thick that looks, like a real milkshake should.
So it's been a while.
Oh my god, it's been a while. It's been so goddamn long. For those of you who bothered to stay subscribed, thank you. For those of us, for the rest of you who didn't bother to stay subscribed, good. For those of you who did stay subscribed, why are you even here anymore? But I guess we're gonna do one of these now, again after a very long time. Nobody's getting. I don't know. Everyone I've talked to are like, "How come I don't see your stuff?" I'm like, "Because I haven't been doing stuff." They're like, "No, I mean like I've never seen any of your stuff. Not on Facebook, not on YouTube, not anywhere."
Yeah.
It's okay. I've seen the view counts on the podcast, so hopefully it being on iTunes or SoundCloud will change that, but it probably won't. Yeah.
It's more for us, anyways.
This is absolutely more for us.
Yeah.
If you guys know this from the Discord, this is the table that I put together. It is now our podcasting table. Although there's a problem with the podcasting table, it is like 5 inches too tall. So we had to put the camera, if you notice, way up there. It's way up there, so you can see the fire. But that doesn't work.
Can't see the nice part of the fire.
You can't see the part of the fire we need to, and then you're seeing some of the floor as well.
Where do you see the floor?
I see the floor. This is what I do. So what we're gonna have to do is we have to lower the table by about 5 inches.
What if you had put the table the other way?
Then we will be very far away from each other. But I could technically lower everything, guys. Next podcast, I'm gonna lower the table, or we're gonna just move the table around. But yeah. Lots of fun stuff has been happening at work and out of work and at home and then not at home. I got into fights with my bosses and I made up with my bosses, and not in any particular order. They were mad at me. I left the work. I found another job. I found another job in a place that
Gives
might
you T-shirts and
uniforms. They gave me T-shirts. They have company cars. They have company phones. It was very nice to get my company shirt, company hat, company dress shirt on my first day at work, as opposed to waiting 4 months to get one, and then my boss being like, "Oh, well, next time I order one, I'll order one for you." Like, well, that's fantastic.
Well, there's
Mm.
something about uniforms and being part of some maybe bigger organizations, and you know, institutions aren't always so bad.
Well, it automatically made me feel like part of the company.
Yeah.
On a side note, the electrician who I was working with who was screwing me around is no longer a problem because this new company just registered me as an electrical apprentice.
Yeah.
My second week in. Um, I guess that's what I'm going to be doing now. So I'm pretty goddamn happy. A stable work environment, a decent company, and yeah. So hopefully we're gonna make our partial triumphant return to triumphant. I don't know if we're triumphing over anything on YouTube.
Eh.
Just life. We're just triumphing over life.
Yeah, I won my scholarship.
Ugh.
So that's something that happened.
Would you like to tell people about your scholarship? Since we've been away for.
They give me money for doing the same thing I would have been doing anyways, but now I just get money for it from the government. So that's good. So yeah, I will not be a impoverished student anymore. So that'll be nice. But it means now I have to like, publish a fuck ton of shit and be super productive because now you have no excuses for anything. So yeah. So cheers to that.
For those of you who are drinking at home,
Mm-hmm.
cheers along. For those of you who aren't drinking at home, I suggest coffee. If you
So
don't drink coffee, I suggest tea. If you don't drink tea, chocolate milk. If you don't have sugar, I can't help you.
And I mean, since we've been off the grid, there hasn't even been like interesting stuff that's happened socially. Like to even have, I mean, like apparently Trump's like kidnapping children from the border. That's the new craze of things,
I just want to
of the
start.
media.
I just want to start a tweeting campaign. Another father, another child removed from father's, removed from his father's custody or whatever, after father stabbed and murdered 17 people. Just put out stories like that. Like take basic headlines of people going to jail or like going to the army, and just put Trump separated children from family in the headline of all of
He's
them.
just ripping them out of
Just
their. He
ripping them.
just
Trump
ripping them.
ripping the children out of the hands of the soldiers going overseas to fight for something.
Yeah. So, yeah. The Muslim ban went through. The Supreme Court ruled on that. Well, yeah, I don't even know. Like, people. So, yeah, everyone. That's like all the bullshit that's happened. Otherwise, like, I think people have just been. I think things are actually quieting down. I think people are now just. And even now, with all of the podcasts I made you listen to, is now the people are starting to sit down and are ready to talk. They're ready to talk about things.
So, guys,
And
since we're ready to sit down and talk about things, let's talk about people sitting down and talking about things.
well, that's the
And
idea.
we just watched a bunch of people sitting around and talking about things, so we'd like to go over the points that they talked about.
We did, yeah.
But we're going to do it drunk.
Yes, we're gonna. But no, I think like the next movement. It's been 2 years. It's since the whole election thing. And as hard as the left and the media is still trying to keep people outraged, and people still are, people are really
But you get outrage fatigue. This is my
yeah.
favorite point out of everything.
Didn't was it who Eric Weinstein where he uses that you're running out of empathy. We've run out of empathy.
I said I ran out of empathy about a year ago.
Yeah.
This is why I stopped paying attention to the SJW shit. This is why I stopped making videos on SJW shit. I literally ran out of empathy. It's not even empathy for them. I ran out of giving a shit about what they have to say and what their points are. And I think everyone else along the way is also going to run out. Like, how many people are still paying attention and talking to, like, the same people still hate Trump? Oh, speaking of hating Trump, here's a interesting thing that I want to bring up because my life is really, really boring right now. So me and Ziggy were just watching Nailed It on Netflix.
Yeah.
She got pretty bored of it. But there's one episode where it got a little bit political. And I found it really, really, really strange that the white male who looked very hipster-esque had zero commentary on the fact that they had to do a Trump cake. Like, none. He's like, I'm just going to shut my mouth and stay out of this. It looks like a really nerdy beta male looking guy, but like he said nothing. The sassy black woman that literally SJW the crap out of herself with like all the glasses and everything else. She's like, oh my god, I can't believe, like, I'm gonna try and take my politics out of this to win this competition and bake this cake, and like I'm gonna remove everything I possibly can to win. And they're playing for $10,000. And then the other person is, do you remember where she was from?
I think she was also
She was some sort of Spanish.
Yeah, and she's like, oh my god, I can't believe I have to make the
She,
president.
she's like, oh my god, this is such an honor. I can't believe I have to make the president. And she's like, oh, you don't have to be nice. The sassy black woman's like, you don't have to be nice. We know it's Trump, the disgusting whatever.
What?
And,
No,
no,
didn't say that.
She kind of did. And then the other lady's like, well, no, like I have respect. He's literally the president of the United States of America. I'm going to be nice. Like, she looked like she admires the fact. She admires Trump for certain fucking reason. She's like, well, I'm not going to be nice. So the lady, actually, the Spanish lady, who apparently came over and immigrated legally to America, worked her ass off to make that cake and make Trump look as Trump as possible. Side note, she won that competition, making the most Trump-like cake out of all of them. While the fat sassy black SJW or whatever black woman made Trump look like a horrible demon with bulgy eyes and like red. It was horrible. It was like literally the judge is also a sassy black woman. She's like, your cake fucking scares me. It scares me. It's gonna give me goddamn nightmares. And she lost $10,000. And then that's the point. That's it right there. That's SJWism in a nutshell for me. It's you take your politics to such a huge degree where you literally put yourself at jeopardy to lose $10,000 in the cooking competition because you just can't fucking hold your tongue long enough or shove your politics out of it. Like their cakes actually came pretty close. She literally lost based on the fact that her Trump cake was ugly and ridiculously fucking horrible as shit. She put a lot of skill into making him look like a goddamn demon, a fat orange demon.
Yeah. It's really funny how and they just don't want to let you forget. Like, you can't even watch a TV show without them having to shove politics into it.
And it wasn't even politics. They did a patriotic session where the first one was like, make a patriotic American flag with fireworks on it. And then they joked about somebody actually shaping the fireworks and looking like penises. So it was red, white, and blue penises. And the second one was like, bake a cake of the president. It didn't really matter who, like, okay, the host of the show is also a sassy black lady, and she kept most of her comments off of about Trump out of there as well.
Yeah, no, she's actually super cute. She's the thing that makes the show entertaining, actually, or else it would be super boring and repetitive, which it was anyways for me.
Okay, Sigyn clearly doesn't like baking or
don't...
most cooking. I thoroughly I got so many tips about cooking and baking. And they have the professional chefs actually sitting there and telling you how it's all supposed to be made, and then what people make it instead.
Yeah.
That shows nailed it.
And I just found the time limit to be ridiculous. Like, even my expert friend who is an actual baker said that they're setting these people up to fail and that it's impossible to do the things that they want to do in that time. Okay,
and I'm going to keep explaining to Siggy. This is a reality TV show that's literally giving away $10,000 for baking a President Trump cake. Okay? Like, there's no reality.
I don't know, but that kills it for me. Like, I don't know. Unless they purposely want the cakes to turn out bad and stupid looking.
Yes, they do.
I guess
that's the point of the show. It's called Nailed It. It's the premise of the entire show is that people show off their masterpiece cakes or pies or cupcakes or whatever the fuck, and then people try and replicate it on YouTube. So most people fail miserably. So that's the meme, the Nailed It meme.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, I get it.
They're like, nailed it, but you didn't.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's why every show starts with, there's not been more Like, this is one of the very rare cakes that's caused the most fails out of all of them on the YouTube sensation. Like, let's go. Nail it. Let's
I guess
do it.
people have been doing this stuff, but this is where internet. You see how like YouTube and on like, and that's one of the things that Peterson brings up in the discussion of how the online like internet and YouTube and podcast forums and stuff like that, it's creeping its way into television where now they have to kind of acknowledge. And yeah, this whole thing. Even I see those memes where like people try to repose model poses, and then they have the nailed it where it's like these, and then they do it,
Yeah.
and it's really supposed to be stupid and funny. Yeah, I guess I missed that. I'm still not internet savvy.
Not internet savvy, guys. It's 2018.
Hey, I know what Discord is. I was trying to explain what Discord was to someone on Irving's stream yesterday. I can't believe I was the one who was explaining what it was. Not that I ended up getting 2 words in and then other people keep coming in. So yeah, but
Actually, since we're on the topic of Discord, I think me and Siggy are about ready to start our own Discord for reals this time.
no, don't make promises yet.
I'm not making promises, but there's a possibility that I might have a link to our new Discord up there. It'll be separated between Loki and Sigyn. She'll have her news articles and philosophies and sciences with a lot of puppies, kittens, and recipes. Mine's gonna contain porn. A little bit more porn. Stuff I build. Occasionally pictures of me at work. Not even of me, just work. Just work. And stuff I build. Stuff I cook. Probably more work stuff. Well, what else do I do? Oh, I'll go back to posting memes. So if any of you want to see some of the coolest memes around, some of the freshest memes off the meme presses, go somewhere else. I don't know. I haven't been around enough, but I feel better now. So
Okay.
also, small side note for those of you who still care, or for those of you who are still goddamn listening, I shut down all of our Patreons. So there's no more Patreons. So if you want to give us money, you're gonna have to go and wait until I'm live streaming some video games and just give it to me on air. That's the only way to give us money now.
Although I doubt you're gonna be doing very much of that, right?
I
You're just
don't think I'm gonna be doing much of that, but I still will once in a while.
Yeah.
Once in a while. All right, so let's talk about people talking about stuff that we watch, talking about stuff.
Well, I don't actually have much. Like I thought that a natural conversation would happen.
So they sat down Harvey Weinstein and
we're not
Jordan
on-
Peterson, and
Do
Harvey
not
Weinstein
equate.
talked about
It
how
was
how he's
Eric
how he's going out of
Weinstein.
his way to make all work environments as inclusive to women as possible. He specifically joined work fields, or has been part of many work fields, and he has like long commentaries on which work environments are most inclusive to women or least inclusive to women, where the nastiest shit gets said about women and where they're the most involved. I'm gonna spoil this. Hollywood loves women. It just loves women. Women are super included in everything Hollywood does. But apparently so is mathematics.
Well, yeah. So okay. I mean, is that what stood out to you from that whole conversation?
You said you wanted the conversation to start flowing. I threw in some jokes. Women included. No, but honestly, the weirdest part of all of that was actually the interview afterwards, where Harvey Weinstein, Jordan Peterson, and Ben Shapiro sat down to talk about racial IQ and how obviously true all the alt-righters have been this entire time.
That's wow. That's not what the conversation was at all.
They literally talked about how scientists don't like to talk about it, but there's a lot of truth behind a lot of the statistics we've been hearing about racial
Yeah, but you can't
race and
know
IQ.
that that's not.
But they also
because
said
of-
we don't want to talk about this. They said this is this is one of the most uncomfortable things they've had to talk about.
But you still don't know if that's environmental or innate. Like it's still, and they said that too. It still doesn't tell. Just
I
because you see
think one of the
differences.
last things I heard Jordan Peterson say is like, People at the lower range of IQ are roughly around the 90, and that's North America, not Africa. Are around the 90 part, which means they're so dumb and they can't read that they can't read to such a degree where they can't function.
They can't follow basic
They can't even
instructions.
follow basic instructions. I can pretty much tell you I've met some of these people and they weren't all black.
No, they're not. No, and even they say that whole thing is that even finding group differences does not mean that the cause of the differences is either it could be environmental, like, because they're all people of the same race that also tend to
One
share
of the
same
other things that they
environment.
brought out that you love pointing out is that the majority of differences between people are not sex oriented,
It's
they are
personality.
personality oriented.
I totally love that whole part of that conversation.
Yeah, that was a great
when
conversation.
they talked about like the work environment, about agreeableness, and so this is what I was trying to get at before, where I think like right now, even with YouTube, so all those like little short videos of hating on SJWs and stuff, I think like they're starting to die, and the long form arguments are taking.
Just point the mic in the general direction of your mouth because it's
Oh
pointing.
my God, baby,
No,
just stop.
that's all I want. I just want you to let sit in front of the microphone. That's it.
You're
Go ahead.
ruining the flow of my point.
I'm sorry.
Now I forgot.
I'm the one who's editing all of this. I'm sorry, guys.
People can hear me fine. I hate, and Joe
Thanks
Rogan does that
to my editing.
in his fucking podcast to people, and it's super annoying because you can always hear them, and he's always saying talking to the mic, and it's like, fucking Joe, let her finish what
I
she's saying.
literally started this whole thing by offering her a pair of headphones so she can hear what she sounds like when she's in front of the microphone. But then she starts talking like a valley girl in slow motion, which is also fun to watch and listen to.
Anyway,
Agreeableness.
no, that's not what I was saying. That's what you were saying. I was just saying, yeah, I think now the long form conversations, and so they even talk about it in the beginning, where like podcasts and
Okay, so yes, they were saying that television was inherently and initially meant as a stupid medium, and they actually said intended for dumb people.
Well, no, he said
they actually didn't think that people could possibly follow a basic plot lines along, which is why every episode in the beginning of television shows and television serials were designed to be standalone episodes with nothing beforehand and nothing after. So when you watch the majority of old television shows like I Love Lucy or whatever, the basic sitcom formula, they were supposed to be 100% standalone. I've watched actually several documentaries on the subject where it's true. The TV executives were like, people are going to be dumb. They're going to want to be able to sit down,
so people are smarter
tune in,
than
and
Hollywood gives them
never
credit
think
for.
about what they missed. They don't want. We don't. They literally talk about the people aren't going to want to think about what they missed or what's to come or any of that stuff. We just need them to turn their brains off and absorb, and that's it.
Which is so stupid because, again, and so this was what you just point out when Peterson points out how dumb people are. But the first thing he actually says when starting that whole conversation is how people are actually smarter than the elites want to give, not elites, but anyways, then whatever, the television people at least we gave them credit for. And this is dumb because if you look at literature.
Generation. Wrong perspective, and I would hate to say that you're wrong, but you're wrong because where we started and where we ended up are two completely different places.
Well, complex storylines.
My dad still cannot follow long, complex storylines.
Even my parents have difficulty with
my dad, on the other hand, tries to watch stupid Russian soap operas to like a slight degree understanding what the fuck is happening. I've tried to sit them down to watch documentaries. I've tried to sit this is a brand new thing. Before, yes, people who were, I can't say people who were dumb. There were people who read books and people followed
like
books
literature, and he points out how complex literature used to be. And now the television is touching where like movies can't even go where television can, which is these long story character development, which is why I've always preferred television as a medium because it does remind you of books. It's character development.
Here's the interesting part, though. Here's where I would like to fight the contexture of the situation. Here's where we play with the details, the devil in the details. When you're reading a book, you're not reading half an hour of a book and then reading another half an hour of a book, and then reading another half an hour of a book, and then reading another half an hour of a book, and then reading another half an hour of a book. When you're
Okay.
reading a book, you sit down, you start reading a book until you're done reading that book, for the most part. I know there's some people who are special and like, I'm bored of this book, I'm going to go read the other book, and I'm going to come back to this book later. But majority of it, you stay on one story-focused storyline through the duration of the book.
Okay, whereas when you're watching shows, you're watching a variety.
We are literally like think about 10 years ago when you sit down to watch a TV show, you have half an hour bit, 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 another half an hour bit, an hour's worth of bullshit, and then another hour's worth of bullshit, the news, and you go to sleep.
It used to be fun. Like, you used to look excited for next week because
Yes,
next
but
episode.
okay.
But I prefer
As
the news
as a
meeting.
side note, from my own personal childhood, have you ever gotten to the point where you lay down on the couch, just watch TV with your brain completely off, to the point where you eventually snap out of it and you're like, what the fuck am I even watching?
No.
I have. That's happened to me many times as a kid. I sat down, I like kind of fucking half laid down on the couch and just stared at the TV for a while. And then a commercial would say something incredibly retarded, and I'd be like, wait, why am I watching commercials? Wait, what am I even watching?
That's never happened
And
to me.
and after about the 7th time that's happened to me, I said, maybe I should be a little bit more selective about what I'm watching.
I was always selective.
Sure.
I
I
just-
can't
I
say you
always-
weren't.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that I slowly moved away from television at that point. And once I started moving away from television, I started searching other places to watch things, to absorb information from, which is where I went on my documentary binge.
right. And so you like literally grew up on YouTube, right? Like you would spend before YouTube was a thing. Like you were already doing all.
I was
of this
already
stuff.
downloading a lot of documentaries. I was finding underground places on the internet to watch things. There was always video platforms, but mostly pirating. A lot of pirating.
So, do you like does Peterson's message of like to the general male population that he brings up? Does that like maybe? But does that speak to you? Did that speak to you?
Okay, so
Because one of the like you
No,
could
I
be
know-
the
I know what
guy
you're
who
talking
hung
about.
out in his basement and spent hours playing video games, but like you were always and that's like the thing, like you even now, like when you play video games, you were always in. You got the education without being in the institution. And this is what Peterson and them talk about, even in this, where now the information is there without having to go through the institution to be able to gain that. And so you have all of the knowledge that I got when I was in university. Like I watched The Corporation in university, all of the stuff about Disney, all of the stuff about like all this like SG, like but you got that stuff off of YouTube.
Okay. I didn't get it all off of YouTube, but I got a lot of bullshit off of YouTube. Here's the problem. Okay, so here's the double-edged sword. I absorbed a lot of information that is inherently useless but fun.
Okay, the UFO stuff.
There's the UFO stuff, the all the paranormal bullshit,
Yeah, I get
all the
annoyed when you
religious
got into that
bullshit.
stuff.
No. But I mean, like, I've gone through it all. The whole point was that I love absorbing information. A lot of it was unfiltered information and retarded information. This is why I can still sit down and have hours and hours and hours of conversations on conspiracy theories. That's why I can still relate a lot of stuff in life to conspiracy theories. And when I find out conspiracy theories have been proven true, that's extra exciting for me. Regardless of the fact that it was useless information for the most part, some of it is still useful. Like, my mom, for example, and Space Jesus, will probably never be confirmed. But the fact that she knows enough about Space Jesus to have taught me a lot about Space Jesus says that I have a lot of that information. So yes, I could technically still use that information once I meet somebody who follows that ideology, and I might be able to relate to them and maybe actually talk to them on a more playing field. But that's not useful information for me. And that's what universities are supposed to be. They're supposed to be in places that filter out garbage.
right.
Now,
But I'm,
no, I wasn't done. Now, Who is to say what is garbage and what is real information? And that is exactly where we are now. We're sitting around looking at a university professor that's being shot down and fucking talk. A lot of people are just calling him an alt-righter and a white supremacist and a God knows what the fuck else because of the information he's trying to put out there. Universities are suppressing a lot of the information that we saw out there. They talk about. Nobody likes Ben Shapiro, Harvey Weinstein, or the what's
Okay, can you not like? Can you? Because these Brett and Eric Weinstein. Please stay right. They're actually like
fine,
incredible.
Fine. I'll stop my Weinstein jokes, but I'm just need to point out that
he terrified me.
He should probably change his name at this point.
No, there's so many Weinsteins. Fuck, don't worry.
That's the other problem. Once you have a Harvey Weinstein and a Ben Shapiro on the show, and you're like, wow, the Jews are just dominating this one.
But even when you were watching the second part, like, I love you, Dave Rubin, but you see how like he does nothing for the conversation except like he said nothing useful. Like this is why, and Joe Rogan, but he's getting better. I think Dave Rubin has been growing a lot more and finding his own voice. But this is why like Joe Rogan like interacts and like talks to the person.
Okay, what I haven't seen Joe Rogan do is get high with Jordan Peterson and then have a conversation. Joe Rogan can sit around and talk to Jordan Peterson, and
he's mostly quiet when he's talking to Peterson.
No, because he's not talking to Peterson. Peterson is talking to Joe, at Joe, around Joe.
Right. And so that's why I really liked Eric Weinstein, because usually in most of these stuff you see Peterson dominate. I liked that he interrupted.
That's the problem. That is the big problem that I found that entire thing. Peterson kept interrupting everything he was saying, and I hated that. I hated that Eric Weinstein was actually trying to make a decent point, and Peterson kept interjecting, kept interrupting with things that he was already talking about, instead of letting someone who's less known than him complete a point. And I hated that.
But as what makes the conversation engaging to listen to, it does, because Peterson is good at relating things back. So he would make interjectory statements and then let him continue in a way that would help us, like even me, because Weinstein goes and starts bringing up things that nobody knows. Like just let me point out where he talks about, where he talks about the whole intersex thing, and if it had occurred naturally, and he talks about like these gametes, and he starts using like biological terms. And then he's saying, like, the average person would understand. And Peterson's like, no, the average person. And, like, he's coming into... But he was using these terms in a way that, like, people could understand. And then he talks about cultures who have made this distinction. But he still uses a lot of technical terms. And Peterson is very good. And this is why I think the left is attacking him for being the dumb man's and smart man or something. Is he's good at breaking things down in ways that...
Peterson?
Yeah, they're calling him a pseudo-intellectual. A fucking pseudo-intellectual. How he's literally the definition of an intellectual. But they're calling him a pseudo-intellectual because he's saying, like, basic things. But the reason that he's translating to people is because he's saying it in layman terms. And one of the things, and this is the first thing on my list that I was bringing up in that conversation is, and I've been seeing this for years in academia, where he talks about experts, Eric Weinstein starts talking about how experts are having their own separate conversation, and then the public conversation is different. So that's bringing right, and so I guess I've been saying how academics, so academics are writing for academics, and he talks about in the publication world where we're having this whole thing in the publication world, and none of that, and that's why I love knowledge translation and how I've always been about this, and why I want to do what we're doing now. That was actually
a very interesting part where he talked about how there's a select few academics that are having a real discussion on. That was the part that touched me the most. Is the immigration thing. There's a bunch of academics who are sitting around and having a legitimate discussion on immigration. And by legitimate, he means that they're sitting around trying to figure out how to quantify the benefits and positives of how people could profit and continue to profit off of immigration. And by people, it means the upper class. and knowingly know that the rest of us are going to suffer for it, but no one's going to ever publicize that conversation. And actually, there's been an embargo on writing papers contrary to the status quo.
He terrified me as someone who's pursuing academia, because he literally talked about how there'll be too many PhDs per people, which makes me wonder. But this is why, like, it's like how you use it, and this is why it's so important for me to keep doing, like, even if this podcast, like, people don't listen to it, but I need to be able to take what I'm learning and bring it in a way that.
Yeah, you've been talking about doing knowledge translation for a very long
Yeah.
time. The question is when you're going to get enough knowledge to translate it, and whether people are actually going to be receptive of it. One of the best live streams, one of the most active live streams that we've ever had, was when you sat down and you read a bunch of the psychology shit.
Yeah.
And you, Mango, and Ezekiel, I think?
Oh no, we were reading philosophy. That was
Sorry.
psychology.
You guys were
That
breaking down philosophy, just the history of philosophy
Yeah.
while I was playing Far Cry 5 and just shooting stuff while you guys were talking about philosophy in the background. That was a very successful stream, and maybe people do have a hunger for it. But again, this is why we're going back, is because people like me have a hunger for information. Actually, no. There's two types of people. Guys, I'm talking to you. There's two types of people who watch YouTube. There's people who watch YouTube for actual information, actual conversations, actual everything, and there's people who watch YouTube for white noise filter in the background.
which can be both.
No, it can't be both. Because I do put YouTube on in the background, and I will perk up when I hear something I like. But I have to go through the process of actually finding something I like. I can put TV on in the background and just not give a shit. That's my white noise machine. That's sometimes I'll put on a movie on Netflix just for the fuck of it, so I can just listen to it in the background while I'm playing video games or while whatever. Which is again how I did a lot of my studying. How I watched a lot of my documentaries, how I watched a lot of my lectures. I would play video games and just listen to long-form lectures.
And so this is like one of the things that, and I kind of want to full circle back at that, because I really do believe that you have the equivalent of a university education. Right, like you haven't been tested on it, you haven't, and so like and that's why I do believe in the university as an institution, because it's not about just getting the information, it's about applying it, and so that's what and I want to make sure that that's what universities offer, because we can all read the books. It's how you take this information, and that's what we're supposed to teach as professors, and that's what right, but like the information there, and so this is why like what I kind of took away from that is. This whole conversation is that there was a saying, a person is smart, but people are stupid. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to not believe that anymore. And I think that one of the biggest lies that we are being told is that people are dumb and that they don't understand and that they can't handle things.
Okay.
And that
I have to interrupt you purely on the basis that you've literally tackled the subject on our groupthink mentality video, which if you guys want to go back and look it up, the term only refers to a person can be smart, but lots of smart people in a group,
that's true,
will revert back to groupthink almost always, unless you have a lot
good tribalism, right?
Okay, that's a huge jump, but for those of you who do know and don't know, I hate the fact that like. Never mind. Yes, they talk about the fact that
adaptive
it's
and
really
maladaptive.
stupid. It's really stupid that a lot of the conversations we've been having lately is people see collectivist behavior, and it's ridiculous collectivist behavior from the left, and go fuck collectivism. Collectivism is garbage.
Right,
and we
and
should
that's how
only
I
be
feel.
individualistic. Which I've actually had several discussions and carried on long-form conversations that we should never throw away collectivism, because you can't fight collectivists individualistically. That's literally not how that works. The reason you have a collective is to fight the individual. Like, why would you literally settle on being an individual fighting a collective?
Well, doesn't he say what's his name? Groups do matter. Groups have. I forget the lines. He says groups do matter. There was adaptive and maladaptive tribalism, and like he even talks about like healthy types of like male behavior, where he talks about standing by your brother.
That's a huge jump, but yes.
Well, it all merges in my head.
It's a huge, long 2 hour talk. It's not even that long of a talk. Yes, they also talked about adaptive and maladaptive behaviors, but those are easy to spot for the most part. They talked about how most men are what? Competitive. There's a lot of competition.
Right. Oh
The
yeah, we did jump.
fundamental aspects. What? No,
We in the workplace. Well, we'll talk
yes,
about the
the
women in the
fundamental
workplace thing.
parts of most males, most, not all, again, is that men function on a competitive edge that they almost always need to compete and always need to fight.
Right. And women don't have like the fight is not like for men the fight seems
Women
fun.
also compete, just not in the fight. This is
Yeah.
why men like to punch each other in the face, see if they can drink more than the other guy, see if they can run faster than the other guy, see if they can jump faster than the other guy, see if they can work faster, be stronger, hit somebody hard enough for them to flinch, or anything. And this is literally the way like why kids can't sit still in fucking school, because sitting still is not competitive. Unless you turn sitting still into a competition, but then you're not fucking learning.
Yeah. And
And
so yeah, like he points that out and like for that seems like competition is fun for men, but for women
it's a grueling,
it
grueling thing
sucks.
that
Yeah.
that they hate,
Yeah.
they despise.
Like yeah. Although I think that that is a little bit societal and we can learn to be more competitive and that there is such a thing as like healthy
Every
competition.
no, you can't say shit like that, because every aspect of everything we've been fighting over the past 2 years on YouTube, on YouTube, within our families, within every political conversation I've had, is literally the fact that they're literally removing competition from schools. Like the Canadian government is fucking talking about removing grading from schools, grading, removing it because it's too competitive. Everyone gets a participation trophy. Nobody keeps score at kids' games anymore. The competition aspect is being removed. For the competition, yes, I understand the concept of fun, but you don't go and become a professional soccer player for fun.
No, well, like if you so Peterson was on Rogan and you haven't listened to that recently, but one of the things that they do bring out is Joe Rogan says they're pretending, but like everybody's keeping score. Like he's like I go to these games with my kids and everybody like they're saying we're not keeping score, but everybody knows who won. Right? So like they're trying to put this idea of like we shouldn't keep score, but regard like it's innate to us. Like we do. This is what makes humanity survive. And that's one of the things that I like about what they're saying is because there's aspects of evolution that suck, and then there's aspects of evolution that are good, and we need to recognize our evolution. And like what is I think Shapiro says it in the later part of the interview where he says we're not
I
all
didn't watch the Shapiro interview. I only saw clips.
just the
Parts.
clips of it where he says we're all created equal in our rights but not our ability. And so and Peterson like these are the points that they're trying to bring up that like there are innate differences, like people are different, capabilities are different, and that's one of the things that they keep trying to.
That's one of the things they tackle in the talk when they were talking about all of this bullshit. Actually, the majority of it, the collectivism, the leftism, talks about what is the first principle of communism and leftism or whatever Marxism that all these people follow so closely, but completely fail to recognize. What is it? And like Peterson and the other guys, like it's to each according to his need. What was it? It's each according to
To
his
his
need,
ability or need.
to his ability, each according to his ability and need. And he's like, in the goddamn saying, it says some people have a higher ability than others, and some people need more, and some people need less. So these people are all going on about equality and how everyone should achieve the exact same, but their own doctrine states that everyone is literally differently abled.
Which diminishes what because the left, like one of the things, and the left is supposed to be about taking care of the ones who can't. So by saying that everybody is equal and everybody is the same, you're not even.
It's to get us to a point where nobody's trying, so nobody's really succeeding, and then nobody gives a shit. And the only people that are winning are the upper class super rich, so we can have the Hunger Games. So you can hang out in the village, not really try, not really do anything, not really fight the power, but you can occasionally go to the big city to put your life up against the evil corporation. I feel like I lost the train of thought there.
It's really, and this is so frustrating. Like, they're literally empowering the people they're supposed to be fighting. And I think this is why I was so turned off by the left originally, and when and all of this like red pilling stuff came up, and the more I learn and the more I read is that's what it kind of comes to, that they're literally like with and what see, now you're getting me say Harvey Weinstein, but what Eric Weinstein brings up about the immigration thing is about how it's not about hating immigrants and not wanting immigrants. It's literally that these people are being used as a fucking tool to empower.
Not empower. He said they're literally being used to transfer a set of money from one people to a different set of people. And he said, if they could use puppies, they would, because you cannot say no to puppies.
That was such a good line. I have that line written too, where
You cross it out. It's been
okay, so I said, okay, hold on. We said that the experts are having their own separate conversation.
Well, Alex Jones has been going on about how the experts have been having their own conversation. They're writing for each other, and
so immigration, money transfer, puppies. I have that written down.
Okay.
So like if they could be using, and so that's
for those of you who remember, I used to make videos on YouTube about stuff. And one of my videos was called Failed State, where I literally described and really tried to get you guys to understand that what immigration is, for the most part, is outsource of labor, your labor. The government is outsourcing your labor for cheaper for other people who are willing to do it for less money and better, and you don't benefit anything from it except for having literally more competition to do the basic shit.
It's also that the immigrants themselves are losing because of it. This is what I'm getting frustrated, because even right now, like, I honestly feel bad for Iranian immigrants that are coming to Canada right now, because their experience is in, like, right now, comparing to my cousins, for example, because they're put into like this group and there's so many of them, they really can't integrate and they really can't be a part of the new culture. And the thing is, like, assimilation does not mean being lost. It doesn't mean you lose your culture. It means you integrate your culture with that culture.
That depends on how you want to do it, because again, we've gone over this in several live streams, podcasts. What I was taught in school from an early age is how great Canada was. It was in grade 3, 4, and 5. They talked about how great Canada is. How great Canada is, and better than America, because we have a tossed salad.
Yes.
We have a mixed tossed salad of flavors, because we don't demand that people meld. America is considered the melting pot where all cultures melt to make one society. Well, Canada has a bunch of tossed fucking garbage all over the place, clumping together.
But it's not a fucking salad, because salad things go together. This is like mixing ice cream and meat.
This is the whole point. This is you can have an ice cream meat salad. You can still a salad, but the whole point is that there's lettuce, tomato, cucumber, lettuce, tomato, cucumber, lettuce, tomato, cucumber, and lettuce, tomato, cucumber are races or cultures. They don't mix. The melting pot is literally taking things. You can take iron or different types of metals and melt them all together. If you leave them stationary for too long, they'll separate according to level. But you can still melt them all into one. You melt everything into one. It's still the same components, just together. Well, a salad is literally a bunch of different ingredients combined in a bowl.
Yeah, I get the analogy. It's just a shitty analogy.
No, I actually think it's a perfect analogy, especially calling it a toss salad, because tossing a salad in sex form just means eating an asshole.
Okay, time out. I'm going to go pee and get you another beer.
All right, guys. Well, we're at 50 minutes. We have 10 minutes left.
And just... Okay. What were we saying?
We were saying that immigrants, peeing,
right,
toss salad, eating asshole.
Yes, no, but I
and
don't
our
even think
porn podcast is still the #1 podcast we have, guys. You guys are literally not doing your job.
I don't think the toss salad analogy even fits that well, because those are things that like complement each other. And here's the thing: is that what we found in Canada is not multiculturalism. We found cultural divide. where none of these cultures are actually integrating with each other. They're becoming separate. And this is the issue with mass immigration. And this is the issue where I think like immigrants are kind of being ruined because of these pro-immigration policies. Because there is something really amazing about coming to a country where you are a minority and you get to learn about the good things about that country, but then you also get to keep the good things about your culture. Whereas when you have a mass group of people coming in, all of the shittiness from your culture also comes in with it. And you don't distinguish, because there's obviously good and bad aspects about all cultures. But you actually get more out of all of the cultures in the simulator society. And what you see in New York and what you see in these is that you actually have an appreciation of all of the good things about the variety of cultures and neighborhoods, and you don't have the shitty aspects.
Well, first of all, you don't ever hear anybody like. I've never sat in your family gatherings and been like, guys, it's fantastic being Canadian. I've never seen it in my culture. I've never seen it in your culture. And I don't think I'll ever see it in anyone's culture where somebody sits down and goes, guys, it's Canada Day. Isn't it great to be Canadian?
We actually do that, though.
No, you guys will sit down. No, you're very happy to be here. You guys are happy to celebrate Canada Day. But rarely do I see your family or my family or most people celebrate being Canadian. This is what I think is lost on the Canadian people.
Well, how do you celebrate being anything?
I don't know. How do you celebrate being gay? Oh yeah, we have Pride, where everyone fucking runs to Pride and waves fucking flags all the fucking time. You can fly a Canadian flag. You can fly a Canadian bumper sticker. You can wear a Canadian T-shirt. A lot of Canadians wear Canadian, like I'm Canadian T-shirts. We'll drink Canadian beer. We'll have flags. Why do most people cheer for their home country when there's an Olympic sport?
Yeah.
Instead of Canada.
Well, no, because people in Canada cheer for Canada.
No, they don't.
I cheer for Canada.
You might cheer for Canada. You might cheer for Canada.
Everybody, it's just the sports that Canada doesn't make it to is that people are supporting. If Canada made it to the World Cup right now, we'd all be fucking cheering for Canada. It's
sure.
Just Canada doesn't. But when it comes to the Olympics, everyone cheers for Canada.
This is one thing that I do believe that Americans got right. It's patriotism. Patriotism does not mean American. Patriotism means that you are patriotic towards your country. Canada doesn't have patriotism. It doesn't work here for some reason. Even the Canadians aren't patriotic.
Just finish it.
Like, the Canadians aren't patriotic. They don't believe in their own country. They don't believe in their government.
I don't think that's true if you actually go and talk to people.
I have been going on and talking to people. And most of them don't believe in Canada. They don't have, I'm going to say we, because for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to self-identify as Canadian. Because I've been here the longest. And I've talked to a lot of Canadians. And I've been around a lot of Canadians.
I think we have. I think that that's like a thing that is a myth that's being perpetuated. That Canada has no pride.
It's not a myth, because there's literally very little pride. I have seen several people.
You're gonna have to edit
I'm gonna have to edit that out.
Sorry. Okay.
Who identify as Canadian? Who will say, "I was born here. I was raised here. I was doing this. I was doing that." Oh, it's not the same, man.
What?
The beer is just.
You like this one better?
Do I like Velociraptor better than I like?
Hey, these are still good beers.
They're not hazy. The one thing, guys, about my beer is that I like chasing the haze, and you guys might not see it because of the lighting, but this is supposed to be much lighter beer, but it's still dark beer and it's still hazy as fuck. It's a hazy beer. It's full of flavor. It's unfiltered. The other stuff that she was drinking, you guys could see through. You can't see through this. You can't see it through it. And you just still got all the flavors.
Okay, well,
every goddamn American almost every goddamn American I've ever met has been proud of the fact that, number one, he's American, and everything else after that.
And most American immigrants are like that too.
Yes. They conform. They love being American. That's why whenever you do see these stories of people being like, what the fuck is this garbage? It's literally being like, I'm an American. I pay my taxes. I love my guns. And I have the right to protect my goddamn property.
Okay, but a lot of countries have that.
No, they don't. No, it's okay. Okay. I'm not going to say no, they don't. What I'm going to say is Canada doesn't.
We have the right to protect our property.
We have the right, but we don't find a national identity associated with protecting your property, being proud, owning what you have. None of that is in there.
Okay.
What is your pride in being Canadian involved? That you serve the Queen? No. But what is the Canadian pride? Where is it? I want to know where the Canadian pride is.
We have most of the things that the U.S. has.
But why aren't we as proud of it?
Because
we actually have better. We actually have the healthcare.
our healthcare is not necessarily better.
It's not better, but you know what? People aren't going bankrupt because of it.
Yeah, but people are also dying on waiting lists and getting cancer prognosis.
And a lot of people are just, you know what they're doing? They're going to America and fucking getting surgery there and having the Canadian government cover.
Well, yeah, apparently. And so I learned recently that had to be something that we had to fight for in the Supreme Court because they were mandating social health care. And so then the Supreme Court with the UN found that it was a violation of human rights to force them into socialized health care and to not be able to go external and pay for your care. So that was something that like happened more recently.
Sure. But when you
yeah.
get invaded by socialist countries and people from socialist countries, then yeah.
But that being said, Canada does have a good system of, because we invest in our healthcare, we have more of a prevention idea because we understand that if we don't prevent illnesses from happening, the cost and the burden is going to be more. So in a lot of ways, we're healthier than the USA because we realize like getting people in early and figuring out shit earlier and preventing illness is going to cut down cost of healthcare a lot more.
Yes.
So
well, there's a give and take there. For example, our giant, massive campaign of trying to outlaw smoking and get rid of smoking everywhere is incredibly
I guess anti-libertarian.
Horrible. Anti-libertarian, anti-business, anti-fucking personal property, a lot of anti-fucking rights. Okay,
right.
There's a lot of anti-rights there for them to just outlaw smoking at bars, public locations, streets, your own car, and parts of your own.
No, it's only if you have a kid in the car.
Your own car. Your own car.
But tossing it out of the car is becoming illegal now.
Yeah, no. But the whole point is that they're making it illegal every step of the way. Like Dennis Leary, I'm not gonna go into Dennis Leary yet. The whole point is that not only did they make it super retarded for you to smoke anywhere, but they also raised the taxes on the cigarettes to such a degree where they're like, oh, the smokers are going to pay for our tax benefits. The people that are addicted to cigarettes are going to have to pay for our tax benefit, for our healthcare system.
Which is totally actually for people who care to be about the like underclass and the marginalized, and it's low-income people are more susceptible to addiction because their lives are fucking shitty.
And who has been the biggest... Out of all the people I've ever known in my entire life, who have been shitting and throwing it in my face that have been a smoker? Out of everyone I've ever known.
The white elite liberal left.
The white elite liberal left has been fucking giving me goddamn shit for being a goddamn smoker when I am a lower class than they are. I make less money than they are. I'm less educated than them. I come from a fucking hard ass labor intensive job with incredibly little prospect. Well, the fucking kids that fucking have their entire education paid for by their parents and do whatever the fuck they want to look down on me for smoking.
Right. And they don't acknowledge that there's actual... And so here's one of the things that I got frustrated with. People don't acknowledge the benefits of smoking. Like, for example, you fucking make friends. Like, I went to... And so, okay, if my parents ever hear this, then cat's out of the bag. But now I quit, so whatever. But I like in my years of being in undergrad university, I did not meet one person. I did not make one friend because I went to a fucking commuter school until second year where I started smoking. And guess what? Asking someone for a lighter, that's a starting of a conversation. Then you start meeting people. Then you start talking to people. And you know what? Smokers are friendly. They like talking. They like chatting. And so, like,
Cigarettes are like microphones. You just light one up and you just talk through the whole goddamn thing.
and no one wants to acknowledge that as much as there's like health consequences to these things, first off, the health consequences are actually manageable if you can practice moderation. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a death sentence. But also on top of that, there are social reasons. And one of the reasons I like the show Friends, there's an episode in Friends where they actually bring this up where because of everyone smoking in the business, all of the like business decisions were being made on smoke breaks. And so whoever was a non-smoker was being left out of the time where people went out and they started discussing and stuff like that. And so there's this whole thing of like Rachel having to start smoking and then trying to convince all the rest of them to quit because she doesn't want to miss out on the conversations that are happening during the smoke breaks, because that's where people were going out and relaxing and figuring out things and making business decisions. And so, yeah, like there's actual elements, social elements of this that's been evolutionary adapted. We have smoking in our history. We have alcohol in our history. Like none of this stuff, and that's why even Eric Weinstein brings up like there's so much of evolution. Like when you look into human behavior, not everything's great about it, right? Like and we have to deal with it, and that's where the race IQ stuff came about. Where it's like there's certain things that when you look into we have to decide, like we need to have this conversation of how we approach this information, because the literature is there.
Yeah. Too bad it's not being taken seriously. And recently it hasn't been taken seriously. Because the more people look at the literature, the more they find racist, sexist, or whatever the fuck overtones. And they want to complain about it. And they do. To a huge extent. Which is the other thing they brought up. Is like, how can you literally bring up a point, an argument, a conversation, when what he mentioned? He's like, I brought up a point somewhere. No. It was Jordan Peterson. Remember? He talked about Jordan Peterson mentioning forced celibacy.
Enforced monogamy.
Whatever, enforced monogamy. That's it. And apparently the people that he met and he had a conversation with, where he mentioned that shit with, wrote a whole hit piece on him about how he's all about enforced monogamy. And he's like, what?
And she was playing nice to his face. That's the thing. Like, they talked to this person and she was engaging and talking to them. So she actively knew where they were coming from and still chose to write this piece.
Well, again, that's also always going to go back to sensationalized clickbaitism. That's literally ruining our entire society. But yeah,
they talk about that a little.
They have to talk about it a little, because we're all going to eventually talk about it. And I'm just really sad I didn't get to finish my Left of Left series that literally addresses why we're there.
Okay. Well, he talks about this whole thing of like needing a winner, and that entertainment industry keeps pushing the idea that we need a winner, and that's what clickbait is. But then he talks about his discussion with Sam Harris and how the audience was there with him and they were able to, it wasn't about, it was, what does he say? The goal of the conversation wasn't to win, was to come out smarter than you were when you started it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, that's what the goal was. And people were interested in that.
Oh, he said that the moderator set it up as if it's him versus the other guy, but they never planned it to be a versus situation. They even planned everything out to be talkative, I guess. Informational exchange is what they refer to it as.
Yeah, and the audience was there with them, as opposed to how the entertainment industry keeps trying to pit people against each other.
Well, okay, but a large portion of what they talked about is the fact that it's not the okay. As much as the entertainment industry, as you want to call it, pits people against each other, it is literally in our nature to be competitive, which is, again, where we had this started a large portion of this conversation. It's there. It's why we have sports. It's why we have competitions. It's why we have reality TV shows. It's why we have everything, including every aspect of our mating ritual and our job competition and schooling and grades and just everything. You need to compete. If you're not competing, what are you doing? Where are you in life if you're not competing for something?
So how did you feel about what Eric Weinstein says, where he talks about like there's actual innate reasons as for the wage gap and women in the workplace, and then saying that it's those of us who like fighting need to come in and fight for the good ideas of the people who, because I really, so that stuff I really I liked how.
Hold on. If you're gonna talk about the stuff, then at the very least address all of it instead of jumping all over the place.
Okay.
So yes, there's a notion that a large portion of the wage gap can be easily explained by people not willing to fight for it and people having high agreeability. People with high agreeability are the easiest to take advantage of because they go, yeah, okay. And they just coast along, and people just kind of take advantage of them, which I saw a lot of in my last job, where I was being highly agreeable to everything my boss was doing, and he just kind of walked all over me at the very last moment when I just kind of told him to go fuck himself. The moment I put myself in a better situation behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Then of course he went out and actually told Ahmed, my framing boss, that he's like, oh, I freaked out at him and I snapped at him.
Okay.
I'm glad that got across, but being agreeable is not always the best way to go, especially when you're trying to make more money. If you're trying to make more money, your boss goes, well, you might not deserve it. And you can't say, yeah, maybe I don't deserve it. You have to say, no, I do deserve it because of A, B, C, or D. Unless you don't actually feel like you deserve it. Then you might be agreeable in saying, I'm not going to take the raise. You could also be fairly comfortable, too. If you're fairly comfortable in life and you already have a lot of money, then you could say, yeah, maybe I don't need more money. Which is actually, the video I want to write. Why have I never finished that video? I'm going to finish that video.
Well,
I know, I keep talking about how, like, I don't make short videos anymore, but I need to do my overworked and underpaid video.
well, no, but I think they kind of bring it up in the discussion too, where like money doesn't necessarily need to be the end all be all. And one of the things that Peterson
actually,
and that's the argument that
they do say that money needs to be the end all and be all. They specifically go on. This is my least enjoyable part of that entire talk was the fact that they said, what we should do is find all of these people putting forth these ridiculous fucking notions of all the ridiculousness, and I'll get into what the ridiculousness is.
Well,
and
no, he
start
said if they pay
giving
them more money,
and
the stakes
start
are higher.
giving them more money.
Because then what they say matters.
So at that point, they're exactly what they say actually matters.
Right. So then they're more careful about what they have to say.
No. So they aren't just looking for moral victories while getting fucking nothing paid to them. They're actually getting a decent salary, and they don't need that moral victory to actually write something decent. They're actually getting gratified through actual money. And once you start getting real money for the work that you do, you're not seeking gratification through other means. This is a very complicated point. I agree, yet I half disagree. He said, take companies like Salon, the New York Post, or a lot of these bloggers that are out there fucking trying to fight the good liberal fight of trying to take down big corporations. And trying to fucking continuously make liberal fucking points and trying to have people fired by calling to action their entire audience to contact the HR department of whoever the fuck, like Jordan Peterson, and have the man removed from the offices just because he said something they don't agree with. He said, give them a real job. Give them a real salary. And once they have a real job and a real salary to lose, they'll get it. Yeah. They will understand what it's like to pay taxes. They will understand what it's like to hold a job. They will understand what it's like to actually be able to say something that might matter. And they will know what on which end they are on.
Okay, when he made that statement...
Just let me finish. Just let me finish for a second. They will know, so they can know what it's like for people to listen to them and actually take them into consideration. Maybe they'll be on the receiving end of some other fucking jerk-off who's got nothing going on in his life outside of trying to win moral battles against them. Go ahead.
It's because no, when he said that statement, he was referring to people in the social sciences specifically. And one of the things that he does touch on later, Eric Weinstein does touch on later, is how, and this is where this touches me personally, of how PhDs in general are getting screwed out of the income that they deserve and that they're supposed to be getting because of the way that the system has been set up.
It's not quite what he said.
He kind of does, though.
Not quite what he said.
And he kind of says that there's been, he literally says it's almost a conspiracy.
He
and so he
talked
says those
about
words
a specific set of fields
where they have underpaid certain...
No. That there was a specific collaboration to underpay those fields because they don't need a lot of money by other certain fields, where they sat down and actually talked about this stuff. It wasn't just a general huge conspiracy to underpay all PhDs in social sciences. It was specific things. I didn't pay attention to which ones they are, but it wasn't all of them.
Okay, well, it still was pointing to the fact that, like, a lot of this crazy shit is coming from the social sciences, and a lot of the reason is because they keep trying to validate themselves.
Yes. Because they literally have nothing.
No, but they do. So what we're discussing now, and people are social sciences. You cannot force
gender politics into basic economics and claim that you have a point.
Right, but people and understanding people and how people interact and how they engage with each other, this is all we are doing. What we are talking right now is all social sciences.
Okay, what
there
we are doing...
value in it in society.
No. You're greatly misunderstanding the words that were spoken versus what you're interpreting. We're not talking about the social sciences as psychology as a whole. We're talking about social sciences. What Jordan Peterson kept scoffing at was literally shit like gender studies in application to grand economics and of like multi-country economics.
Right, but they got that far because nobody was paying attention.
They didn't get that. They didn't get that far. They're not anywhere. They're not doing anything. The only thing that's happening is these people are going in, getting their social sciences degrees, literally not PhDs, not psychology degrees. They're getting bullshit like gender studies. Like, there's a reason people keep laughing at fucking underwater basket weaving as a social science. There's a reason you can get a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fucking master's.
I think that show was genius. But...
The show may have been genius, but you shouldn't be able to get a master's degree around it.
Okay.
The point is that these are the people that have zero job prospects. These are the people that cannot get a job prospect. These are the people that literally left jobless at the end of their career and are complaining about the fact that they can't find a job. These are the people that have nothing to lose and nothing but social media to gain. These are the people that will learn to game the system, will learn to fucking create calls of action to have people fired for opinions they do not like.
Okay, so, and this is what I want to ask you. What did you think about their theories of how the left got as far as they did? Because, and this is what I also really like what Eric Weinstein said, was that what the left was doing, and he brings up like the Southern Poverty Law Center, but... They see this injustice in the world, and they think it's due to oppression, and they get all the momentum that they want, and then they realize, or this is what I kind of understood from it, is that these inequalities are still existing. It can't all be explained by oppression in the way that they've been narrated. And so not only are they trying to maintain relevance, but also
this is the exact thing we were just talking about. These people have gained momentum. They have gained traction. They have
and everyone
they have
agrees
accumulated
with them on the
all of the guilt around them. They've maximized the amount of guilt that they can fucking squeeze out of people. The horrible whatever Poverty Law Center did their thing. They I don't know what they do.
Right, but the idea that it's not just oppression that explains all of the injustices in the world. And this is why I like evolutionary theory so much, because it's human beings.
Wait. I wasn't willing to give them the depression causes the majority of the systemic issues to begin with.
Well, but that's what the
No,
left is
no,
trying
no,
to.
no, no. But this is why I've gone completely the fuck away from it, because I got so tired of them destroying language and all meaning that I don't want to involve myself in a lot of this bullshit anymore. And this is why I think what's his name, Weinstein, is wrong. This is why I don't like his point that we should be funding these idiots. Like, partially, Will,
That was just
if
one
you will
funny
ever, no, if Will would ever agree with me on one thing, it's literally giving bad opinions lots of money. Will likes the idea of giving really bad opinions lots of money and a bigger voice. So they could sit there and say all the retarded shit they can, and then everyone will either listen to them or not. And they can either change their message to be more palatable, or they could not change their message and just go bankrupt. I don't like the idea of taking somebody like Salon and giving them all the money, because that sends the wrong message. I don't like his idea of saying, oh, well, like, oh, well, God,
Yeah, but he also talks about that the system would naturally, and so like he actually points out how
he's too
government
far
coming
in the left. He's too far
He's
in. Yes, he is. He is. This is why this whole thing of like what we should do is give the left more money.
No, that's not what he said.
He literally said give them a slush fund and fund people. Do you know what a slush fund is?
No.
Slush fund is literally a bank account with all the money, just all the money. He said, and just fund all of these people. Just give them all the money. So just give them real paychecks, and then they'll eventually understand and change their mind. No, that's not what you do. You don't give them all the paychecks. You say you are an idiot. You have no idea what you're talking about. Here's the research that says otherwise, and here's all the money to prove that you're an idiot.
Yeah, but he also keeps pointing out examples of no matter how much evidence, and he spits out, he names names of no matter how much evidence you put in front of these people, they're not willing to see things. He talks about the guy on immigration where he's like, I'm literally like.
So why would he want to give him all the money? No, that is my point. Why does he want to give him all the money for him to get his message out there as far as possible when he already knows the guy is so close?
Because money brings consequences. And so things when you don't,
you can just take away his money and then he won't have any consequences. The whole point is the guy is riding on what? Residual guilt left over from the massive guilt fucking dam burst of 2012.
All of these leftists are claiming impoverishment, and so if you take away their money,
I don't care. All the science says otherwise.
Anyways,
but all this, like, literally, this is why I don't want to be part of this. This is why I don't want to be involved in the SJW talks. Because I'm just gonna keep repeating the same points. The science says you're wrong. The science says you're a fucking idiot. The science says that nothing on all of this, they're all wrong. The language that they use is wrong. The way they use words is wrong. The way they say things is wrong. You can't start like the whole point. My whole point, as every aspect, every part of the left is that their starting position is wrong. Everything they built upon their starting position is wrong. Like when you build a foundation on fucking shifting sands or make believe fucking clouds. You cannot have a stable institution. You understand that when you're building your university on lies, then your entire university is already built on lies. Which means the next generation that leave that university don't know that the institution was funded on lies. They only know what the institution taught them. And they assume.
He's the one who's pointing that out. He keeps saying that things are built on lies.
We're all pointing out and saying that things are built on lies. They're obviously built on lies. Everything that they've gone through is saying it's built on lies. He even points out that these people don't know. They will refuse to see that these things. But no. Okay, I'm going to stop him and say he's wrong. The guy who's literally not willing to change his mind, even though he's got all the evidence in front of him, is either a religious zealot, which he's not, because he doesn't believe in God. He believes in Marx. He's a cultural Marxist, which means that what he's doing is a cultural Marxist perspective, which means he's getting funded by other sources, which means he's got all the money in the fucking world that he needs, as long as he keeps portraying those same points over and over. Like, he already went out and said that there's a conspiracy to promote, all of the immigration possible as much as possible. That is a conspiracy. Like, academia will never write a paper of how bad it is in the spectrum of economics to actually like
mass immigrate, yeah.
to mass immigrate, to non-immigrate, to slow immigrate. Doesn't matter. No one will ever write a negative immigration paper because of these people that have gone into it. This guy that will never ever see any goddamn evidence contrary to belief is already paid off. He's already paid
Okay,
off.
fine.
He's
So
already.
he made that one statement. That was not his main argument at all.
No.
He just said, like, why not? Why
We're
not
talking
do
about
that?
two different points now. I was talking about what I am talking about and why I don't want to involve myself in this. Because this is either religious zealotism towards Marxism, where they will refuse to believe anything that they were ever learned. Well, listen, these are the same fucking people that go on about how fucking evil religion is and how these religious people are so closed off and will never see the truth of like how bullshit everything they believe is because God is clearly not real, while also following the beliefs of Marx. And Marx literally said, if you don't work, you don't eat. I'm like, motherfucker, it's in your book. It's in your book. You don't work, you don't eat. Why the fuck do you think that you get to work and eat off of my fucking money? It's a really simple situation. I don't care what these people fucking come to me with. I don't care how much guilt they push on me. I don't care about any of it. I can lay out a cohesive argument to every single one of these people about how they are wrong. You know what they do? They close off and they go, well, I don't agree with you. Goodbye. And then they talk shit behind my back. That's just what they do. You can't. I can be part of it. I can be. I can be part of the conversation where it fucking matters. And the only point this place actually matters is when you vote. You go and you vote against liberals. I will do this. I'll talk to you guys. I won't show my face because I clearly can't. Because maybe they'll find me and they'll fucking shut me down.
Well, okay, see. I didn't get any of that from their conversation. I thought that they're actually stripping away from the what it is to be left or right or liberal or conservative and looking at things on an issue basis. And yeah, he said some things that were not.
The problem with them is that the initial problem I had with what they were saying is that they believed that they were winning. They believe that they're winning and they believe they're going on to the next phase. One of the points that they've had is that like, oh, we're the next phase. We're going to be talking about it and other people are going to be talking about what it's like since we're breaking down the walls. Now the next generation is going to be having the conversation. It's not.
It is,
They haven't won. They haven't won. They haven't won anything yet. They haven't even started the war. The battle has not even begun. They are not enemy number one in the mainstream. They're enemy number one.
But the mainstream is not as mainstream as the mainstream's making it seem. That's the thing.
They
it's
are.
The media
They are.
Seem.
The main. Who has more of an audience than the mainstream media? Wait, you remember 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, Obama was on the fucking media, in the media, regurgitating all of these liberal points. The president of the United States was regurgitating the same fucking garbage to the world. He went on a worldwide tour to regurgitate this garbage. He was restating the fucking rape statistics, the feminist bullshit.
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau is parading around the goddamn world. The president, the goddamn fucking prime minister of Canada is spewing this shit out to the media every day.
Equal opportunity. It's 2016. Of course it should be 50-50 women and men.
People can sit around on YouTube and say, oh, we're winning. No, the Amazing Atheist has been sitting around on YouTube since 2005 saying he's fucking winning the argument. There's no less religious people because of him. He's just moved on to doing anti-SJW bullshit. Or nothing. He's doing nothing. He's doing video games now. What the fuck did he win? I've seen this cycle before. I've seen these people crawl up each other's asses to such a degree where they're like, oh, we're winning. We're clearly winning.
Well, the idea is that they're still gaining popularity and even in the media, they're still like Peterson did point out a lot of the Canadian media that did come out in support of him with the bill.
Okay.
Right? And so But yeah, no, I know more people in my day-to-day life will agree with the mainstream.
I cannot have like I just finished saying I can't show my face because these people
I
will
can't
find
either,
me
yeah.
and hide me. We're both not showing our faces because of this. If this shit was mainstream, we could be heralded as people who actually came out, who talked about this, who want to talk about this, who are in different professions talking. No, we're still fucking half hidden. Jordan Peterson is sitting around with this $35,000 a fucking month. Fucking getting how much? Have you seen the counter go off during that live stream of how much money's being donated?
Okay,
it was like
but then what's the
$100,
problem with
$50,
that?
$100. There's no problem with that. There's no problem with that. But they can't sit around because at this point they're sitting around and jerking each other off, making people who are watching them feel good. I love the fact that they think they're moving on to the next step of having a stable, legitimate conversation. But then my question is, how? Because I can't have a stable, legitimate conversation.
Okay, so you're saying we're not where they think we are.
I think they crawled up each other's asses. They're literally at that point where they're big enough celebrities where they're continuously surrounded by people that agree with them. It's
but
it's literally the celebrity
okay, but
effect.
that's one of the things that I wanted to. Okay, no, see, this is where I disagree with you because you didn't watch the one with Shapiro, but they don't agree with each other.
No,
they don't. In that conversation, they weren't agreeing.
Wrong agreement. That's not the agreement that I'm talking about. Me and you can have a decent, basic conversation anywhere we go. Trump is still hated everywhere. People don't even understand what the point of that was.
Yeah, we still can't say, yeah.
People, our closest fucking friends, we went to have sushi with them, and we brought up Trump, and they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, he's still a piece of shit, and then, whatever. And we're still, like, I still can't explain to people why I fucking supported Trump. They still don't understand.
And still support Trump. That's the thing, that he's actually proven to be better. This is what I'm getting frustrated about, especially with this ripping children apart thing, is that he's actually proven to be better than he was supposed to be. He's doing, and this is, yeah, like it's, and so even with, and so I pointed this out to my dad when Doug Ford won the election, where I said to him, I'm like, now you see that it doesn't matter whether it was Trump or not. No matter who it is, if it's a conservative, they will shit on him. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah. It's always been that way.
Yeah.
It's always been that way.
So you think they're still being too optimistic right now?
I don't think they're being optimistic. I think they're surrounded by yes men. I think their popularity is incredible for their popularity. But I don't think they see the bigger picture. Yes, Jordan Peterson may get 35,000 fucking letters thanking him for doing what he's doing. But I live in a country of 35 million, and America is a country of 360 million. That's nothing. That's nothing. Their subscriber count is nothing. There is fucking donations a month is still nothing. It's not even 1% of the population. It's not even a fucking tenth of the population when you combine this major audience. It's nothing. These people sit around and they're fucking congratulating themselves on getting a point across. On having a bestseller book. It is the same audience. Right? That's what they're literally sitting around, the 4 of them, the 5 of them, the 6 of them. What they call themselves? The dark web bullshit? What the fuck was that?
So they've been deemed as what's called the intellectual dark web. Like
sure,
they're the naysayers
right.
Of
They're not the fucking forefront.
They're not
on the forefront of the internet. They're in literally the dark web is the unknown deep recesses of the web that fucking most people are too afraid to go to.
Okay, but keep in mind what they sacrificed, because they bring this up like
I don't give a shit about the sacrifice. That's not what I'm talking about. That's literally not what we're talking about. They're sitting around and congratulating each other about how they're fucking making it on to the next fucking level. I am afraid to show my face because I know I can't have a decent conversation with 97% of the people I fucking meet.
People we're related to. Can't even have an honest conversation.
You can't. I can't talk to my mom because she's expecting fucking intergalactic space Jesus to bring communism. I'm like, communism's bad. She's like, no, it's not. I'm like, you fled from communism. You left. Communism has a higher death toll than every war in the world combined has a fucking lower death toll than communism. It's probably not true.
No, it is. Like, it actually is. That's what's fucked up.
Okay. The point is that these people don't realize. They have no idea how much they change the language. This is the problem. I sit down and I talk to smart, intelligent people that are doing proper things, and I'm pointing out basic shit. They go, communism is better than capitalism. And I go, where? What fucking universe? What fucking dimension? What the fuck are you talking about? Go live in a communist country. People from communist countries, people from socialist communist countries will fucking flee to Canada to be like, communism is better than capitalism. Why? Why is it better? Why aren't you there?
People are escaping Cuba and then still, yeah.
Yeah, no, that is the cognitive dissonance of fucking sitting there and being like, oh, I'm a proud Cuban. You're a proud Cuban? Why aren't you in Cuba with the rest of your family? Proud Cuban. What the fuck are you?
I mean,
what the no. This is the left. This is the leftist perspective. This is their point. It's pride. It's feeling good about yourself. What the fuck are you feeling good about yourself? This has been my point with the fucking Pride March. You can't call yourself an equal to me. You can't say you're the same. You can't say you deserve the same amount of respect when you need a fucking parade. When you need a fucking parade to celebrate your fucking choices in life. I've never asked for a fucking parade to celebrate my choice in life. I wouldn't even think about fucking needing a parade.
I understand that that's just a marketing technique, though. Like, Pride is not about being gay. It's about fucking having a summer where they can sell shit. It's all that's the
it's not
true
a summer. It's not a
out.
summer. It's not summer. It started out as a weekend and it moved on to a month.
Please.
I don't.
Yeah.
No. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Okay. The point is that my tax dollars are not funding that shit. There's no straight float.
But you're
there's
also
there's
they're
no
not
straight
just
float.
funding gayness though. They're funding like the businesses, the whole event. It's an event. It's
And
to
that's
make money.
why Rob Ford said, "Guys, go fuck yourselves. You're a giant business fucking making corporations. Why the fuck are the taxpayers of Toronto funding something that's a worldwide festival?"
Right, yeah.
And he got rid of it, and then people called him a fucking racist, bigot, fucking, well, whatever.
But that's the thing. Like, none of the actual stuff from Pride goes to help gay people. This is why.
Why would it?
No,
Why
but
would
like
it?
this is the
No,
frustration
why would it?
about the left and
that's
the thing.
not
They're
my
not
point.
helping
That's not-
the population.
that's not-
They're putting it up
That's
there.
not my point. My point was that you can't call yourself equal yet demand special treatment. That is the left. That is the left in a nutshell. That is every aspect of the left.
Okay.
You can't call yourself unique and special, but also equal. You can't all be unique and special and equal. You can't call yourself unique and special, not get a goddamn job, expecting me to pay for you and your fucking special lifestyle, and then call me a fucking bigot. Because I don't want to. Get a fucking job. That's it. Just get a fucking job.
Most of them have jobs.
Sure. In Toronto. And not very good jobs. I don't know what the fuck they do. I don't care. That's not my point.
Yeah, no, it's cognitive dissonance. Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too, kind of thing.
I can go out and I can buy cake with my money and I can eat it too. Can I have it after I've eaten it? No.
The idea is that if you had your cake, you've already eaten
Right, but
it.
also I make money and I make enough money to buy myself another cake when I want one. So I don't need my cake and eat it too. I prefer to buy a cake, eat it, and then get another one when I want one. And guys, I will absolutely have a cake. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. The left is so far up its ass, and I just don't want to touch it anymore. Because every time I have a conversation with people, I get frustrated. I get frustrated debating with people whether other people should be charged for the, like, literally one of the last major conversations I had was arguing of whether you can charge somebody for the actions of others. And that was literally Hitler and fucking Charles Manson. Charles Manson never killed anybody, he just convinced other people to do it. Yet he got charged for fucking whatever.
Well, what's the line in Eminem's thing in that song?
What?
From Eminem's, because next time you assaulted, dude, just tell the judge it was my fault and I'll get sued.
And Eminem all of a sudden went from being actually very woke and very red-pilled to literally being a leftist cuck. And that's why I lost all respect for him. That's why I fully believe in the conspiracy theory that he was replaced with a clone after he was murdered during his
Look, you can separate art from the artist, and not everything.
You can't
people say
separate
you
art
have to
from the
agree
artist when
with.
his art is now reflecting his new point of view.
Look, he says some things that are valid and some things that are not. Everyone has, you don't have to 100% agree with everything everybody says. And that's the thing that I actually appreciate about the conversation that they are having. Is that, yeah, in that conversation, there's things that Peterson says that I am 100% down with, and there's things that I completely disagree with.
Eminem?
And there's not room for that anymore in
Eminem
the
wrote
dialogue.
8 Mile. In that song, says it all. It's about working hard, striving, and trying to achieve something of yourself.
Yeah.
You cannot go from trying to strive and make something of yourself to literally become a leftist cock.
He's not. He just because they're against Trump doesn't mean
Why is he
they're a
against
leftist
Trump?
cuck.
Why is he against
Because
Trump?
people are buying into it, and there's a lot of valid reasons to not be a fan of Trump. You have to admit
Sure,
that.
sure,
You're not a fan
sure.
of him either.
I'm not a fan of Trump, no. I've never been a fan of Trump.
Doesn't mean that there's not good shit that he's doing.
I don't go around specifically social media tweeting against Trump just to gain some fucking popularity. I understand that fucking Eminem has always been all about pushing the boundaries and being super fucking edgy by going, my name is what? My name is what? My name is who? Wicca 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 Slim Shady, right? And he did that in that fucking album. He had that one song of just a dude sucking another dude's dick. And that was so hardcore and so edgy and so liberal of him. But now a dude sucking another dude's cock in an album is just something people masturbate to. So he's got nothing to fucking do with his life. So he's got to start shit with other people on social media.
Okay, he did that one rap thing and then he kind of like faded out.
What rap thing?
Anyway, look.
There was like a week and a half of him. A week and a half. There was at least a week and a half's worth of shit for me to talk about of him continuously tweeting and insulting Donald Trump on fucking live television, on radio, doing interviews, fucking tweeting at him. He was like a lost little fucking chihuahua bitch, fucking barking at Trump, hoping to get recognized. Trump didn't fucking mention him once, and he got real fucking sad. Because Yippee Yippee Slim Shady was yappy yappy all fucking day long. And nobody gave a fuck.
Hey,
because the feminists that
Kanye
fought him...
got the attention.
Kanye didn't even do much. He's like, yeah, I'll run for president. Yeah, I wouldn't mind running fucking with Trump.
Look, like, I don't know. I just...
No, it doesn't matter. This isn't what we're talking about. The whole point is that I don't believe Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro or any of these guys actually understand the world that we live in.
I think they understand it.
It's every... No.
You understand it better than they do?
Every step of the way. I understand my world better than they understand my world. In their world, they're constantly non-stop surrounded by people who agree with them. Okay?
They don't even agree with each other.
No. See, you're misunderstanding the point here. Is that they don't agree with each other to not a real degree. It's not a real degree that they don't agree with each other. What don't they agree with each other with?
On a lot of things.
They from the talk I saw, I didn't see them disagree once.
Actually, they did.
On what?
They just came
on
on calming
on what?
down.
On what?
On the state of society, the factors of which things are
They
getting too far.
disagreed on the state of society.
Yeah.
No.
Brett fuck. Eric is all like, shit's all fragile. Everything's gonna fall apart. Things are not as good. Systems actually do matter. Groups do matter. We're ignoring all of the things that are actually like affecting us, and we're living a lie. And Peterson's like, no, things are not so bad. Poverty is down. People are richer. Everything is great.
Right.
Like,
so one is looking at current contextual situations, while the other one is looking at a grand historical scale of situations. They're not actually disagreeing. They're looking at two slightly different perspectives through historically.
Okay,
Even.
see, when healthy people who are actually smart disagree, that's what it looks like.
But that's
You
not
don't
a
have
real
to fight
disagreement.
it out.
That's not a real disagreement.
You don't need to be
I would like
yelling
to
at
see
each
a
other.
real disagreement when the one goes, I really am against immigration. The other one goes, yeah, no, I think immigration is the greatest thing ever.
Extremes. This is the thing. It's not a monolith. It's like pro-choice, and they bring that up, the pro-choice and the pro-life thing. It's not either one. There is a middle ground. They do exist. There is a middle ground where someone who is either pro-choice or pro-life can find a place to agree. And this is all of the fucking media and entertainment industries that's creating these separate teams.
Yes. And just
That's what healthy
yes.
disagreement looks like.
Can I say something now? Okay. So according to my point, which is what I'm trying to point out, is that there's extremes. We know there's extremes. We've talked about the extremes.
We're tired. He's like, we're entertained for the dumbest.
Right.
The dumbest version of the fight.
And
We're done. We get it.
No, they're not done. The fight hasn't started, and it'll never end because the fight isn't with them. It isn't around them. They're gonna get exactly what they're getting. They're gonna get people smiling at their fucking faces, and the moment they're done having an interview with them, writing clickbait articles about them. That's the world that we all live in.
Yeah, but they're getting bigger.
But that's not the world I live in. Getting bigger within the.
I
getting
disagree
bigger
with you.
You haven't let me make my fucking point for you to disagree with me. My point is that they're living within their world. Their world consists of the certain amount of subscribers for them to all have, and them for all to share. They're going to share their goddamn subscribers. They're going to feel like they're changing the world because some guy stopped masturbating daily and actually got a goddamn job.
Not just some, but lots.
Congratulations. There's no statistics to prove how many people Jordan Peterson has affected to stop masturbating daily and quit drugs. Some people do that naturally.
There's evidence.
You see how I said there's there's literally no evidence?
But there is evidence.
There's no statistics. Okay, you know what? You can do the goddamn statistics. You can bring me the statistic that will show me how many people officially said Jordan Peterson was responsible for their life change. If you can show me that, I will say that's significant. But like, is it 1%, 2%, 3%? What percentage of the population? Like they sat there and fucking no, I don't give a fuck.
And take like a fraction of that. Like 1/5 of the books he sold. That's the amount of people.
This doesn't tell me shit. This is the problem. The fact that he sold books tells me nothing. What does that tell you? What is it? The fact that he sold books tells you what?
He's inspired people to do better with their lives.
He's inspired people to buy books.
There's...
No. You need to have a correlative effect to this research. You can't say because he wrote a book and it was the number one bestseller means that he changed people's lives. No, he literally changed people's lives in the fact that now that they own his book.
Okay.
Uh-oh. My battery's about to die. That these people think that they're winning a battle that they haven't even started the fighting. It hasn't started because they're not at the root of it. They might be in YouTube, but they're not at the root of where all of this begins. And this is my point, that the foundation's been laid, and the foundation is magic pixie dust. It is facts that are wrong, information that is completely misleading, and otherwise just falsities all the way across. And then they raise kids from an early grade school age into universities, into colleges, into into everything, into a workforce, believing shit that isn't real. This is why I really wanted to put together a video like equality's a lie. Because the moment they push equality from day one on everyone, and how we're all equal. You know that. No one won that argument. No one's winning that. You can't change that unless you literally convince an entire generation of people to enter the field of teaching children at a young age in universities, in kindergartens, and teach them that equality under the law is the only equality we'll ever have. And we don't have that kind of power. We don't have enough.
Equality under the law should be something we strive for.
That's something we've had for a very long time. We don't have to strive for it when we already have it.
We haven't had it for that long.
Marxists have equality. The rest of the regular human society has equality under the law, where we're all equally protected under a law. Equality in itself just means that we are all equal, and not a single one of us is equal. There are no equalities.
Well, and that's why I like the statement. Equality, we're all equal in our rights, but not in our ability. And that doesn't mean that if you're someone who's unable or unable or underable, whatever, that you don't have rights, that you shouldn't be cared for, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, I don't know. I agree with maybe things are not as great as...
Why do people's rights trump over my freedoms?
because they're your rights too, and I don't think that they should trump over freedom, because
But
the biggest right is freedom.
it's
Doesn't mean freedom to beat people up, because you will.
Can I not have freedom away from giving away a huge percentage of my paycheck to people that literally don't deserve it?
If you want to be part of that society, then no, unless you want to take yourself off the grid and live independently.
But you can't.
Right,
but you
which
can't.
is wrong.
But you can't. You can't. The point is you can't. You can't say you can go off the grid and live independently. You can't. They've literally set up a system that prevents you from doing anything of the sort.
Right, but then this goes back to the conversation we brought up of adaptive and maladaptive individualism and collectivism, where we need to find that middle ground where we do need others in society and collectivism to exist, but we need to maintain and protect the individual. And that's why I keep, and this is the line that I will, and maybe this, the ultimate minority is always the individual.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that there's no value in the collective and the community, but it means that the one you protect is the individual, because they're the one. There's literally the definition of minority.
Yes.
And that is getting and so this is where, like, I do think, fine, you think that they're getting ahead of themselves too soon, but where I am and where a lot of us are is I'm ready for the conversation they're having now, because I'm sick of talking about what the problem is, and they're talking about how we figure, and that's why I dropped out of the left, and that's why I dropped out of international development, because all they did was figure out what the problem is, and that conversation that they had was figuring out, okay, here are the problems. How can we figure out this shit? And that's what I'm interested in right now. So maybe the rest of the world is not ready, but for me, that conversation was better than anything I have heard in the past 2 years, because it was not just focused on the bad shit. It was people legitimately trying to work out the basics of, like, even Rubin with the little that he said about the abortion comment, where there is a middle ground to come when it comes to abortion. And it means that you have to put your values down, where he's like, when they feel pain, that's where I'm going to draw the line. But it means you have to concede that you do think it's a life 2 weeks easier. Like, all of these things, there is a middle ground. It doesn't have to mean one end or the other. And I like what they're doing. Like, maybe you're right. You are right. Maybe the population is not there yet. But I think there is, the audience that's with them is not about winning. And one of the things that Peterson points out right away is that it's not about winning, and winning, we shouldn't be excited about winning. And that's not how you get far. And he keeps saying to not be confrontational, to be, like, you know what I mean? Like, learn your shit. Like, he's not about we should go on this pride thing and that we're on top. Neither of them actually said that. They're all like, shit's still fucked up. Like, we haven't even they literally, the end of their conversation was like, there's a whole new conversation we need to have right now. Because even Eric Weinstein, and it brings up that nobody's willing to talk about a lot of these things. And fucking Sam Harris, who wasn't there, but he's a part of this thing. He disagrees on Trump. All of them are, he was against Trump. Like, all of these people are not on the same page with each other. So in a way of guiding the future conversation, where people who are not on this, like, once we get over all of this outrage and bullshit and team shit, what they're doing is what's going to guide the next phase. Maybe they're too soon. You're right. Maybe it's too soon. You're right. We still can't have these conversations in public. I agree with that. But where they're going is where we need to be going. I have to pee.
All right. On that note, I guess, guys, thanks for sticking around. Look for our new Discord. Somewhere in there, you guys can have these conversations or continue carrying on these conversations with us. I'm going to try and upload this on Monday, which means that for anyone who's going to be around in our Discord, we're going to... Okay. I want to do this new thing. I'm going to try and upload these on Monday, and throughout the week, you guys choose whether you want us to have a live stream on Saturdays regarding the topic that we brought up on. So, like, let's say throughout this week, we can talk about... whether we should be having the next phase of the conversation or whether we should be trying to still figure out what the fuck is happening. And that's the live stream I want to have on Saturday, whether we're actually going to fight it out and see if we're ready to move on to the next step, or whether we're actually going to hang out and see what happens. All right, but otherwise, with you as always has been me, Loki, and my co-host
Hello.
Sigyn,
Okay.
co-host,
I-
main host, the P master
I'm
herself.
gonna try to stop ending podcasts with run P, but bye.
All right, thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you next week.